Oh, my flags.
Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, I don't mean Nick. No flag still.
No, we look lame.
Get on your game, man.
Yeah, I know.
L7 weenie.
Can't
Need
forget
a
about
Red
the
Wings flag. Need a Red Wings flag right now.
That's true. Let's go Wings.
They've been wheeling and dealing. I think they play tonight.
No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. I know there's sometimes weird with scheduling in hockey. Sometimes they'll have like a 3-day break, and I'm like, geez, that seems like a lot.
I know.
Play a lot.
I know.
Well,
I like that the other day. Especially that's like baseball. It's every day. It's like
yeah. You get like Tigers. Like baseball's like when in doubt, flip on the Tigers. You know, 9 times out of 10 they will be playing. But what is going on, everyone? We are back at it with me, myself, and Nick and Julius, getting ready to do a little free agency breakdown. Isn't a whole lot of A+ guys, but there's a lot of quality players. Some at positions we don't really need, but there are still some guys that we definitely would like. And of course, all the franchise tags have been rolling on through, so we'll get to that as well. But ultimately, let's just start with our boys, the Lions. So Detroit Lions made a couple splashes these last few days. We'll get you guys up to date. We re-signed Badgley. As you guys know, we re-signed Jalen Reeves-Maybin to the biggest contract in special teams history, which is kind of cool. And people might think, oh my God, why are we paying this special teamer so much? But it's like, no, Germ does more than just special teams. So don't worry about that. That was a great contract. And then we brought back friend of the show, Shane Zylstra. So maybe we'll have to hunt him down, get him back on the show, see what it's like to be back at Detroit Lions. And then finally, the big splash was we brought back We brought back Emmanuel Mosley, cornerback from the 49ers that we brought in off an ACL tear. And then literally, I think it was his second snap, maybe even first snap. It was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers, hold my beer type moment where he went out, tore his ACL, first play, second play of the game or whatever. And it's looking like the Lions are going to give him another shot. So the good news is, we're going to get a team-friendly deal. The bad news is both of his knees could just blow out at any moment. So, Nick, you're giggling over there. Give me some thoughts on any of these guys. I know some have been, signed, a few weeks ago and some have come today. But overall, give me some thoughts.
Yeah, Mosley, excited to bring him back. Who knows? He might not even make the 53-man roster, honestly. It is what it is. But give him another chance. Hungry. What did Jason Kelsey say? Hungry dogs run faster. That dude's got to be hungry. He's got to be hungry to make money, to prove himself, to show he's not just made of glass. So give me that. I like that a lot. Badgley. I don't know. I'm kind of on the board where let's just get rid of Badgley. Let's get rid of any kicker. We just go for it every single time. There is never a need to kick an extra point or a field goal. Obviously, I'm joking, but I don't know. Badgley, if you don't have a kicker that you have confidence in kicking over 50 yards, then why is he on your team? Let's go trade a 7th rounder for Matt Prater, bring him back. Germ is the one. He is the best. What an outstanding special teams player. Offensively, special teams, and defensively, like tackling or going for it on 4th down or whatever we need, any kind of fakes. I love Germ. I'm glad that he's back. For anyone who doesn't know who Germ is, Jalen Reeves-Maybin. So those are my big takeaways. Shane Zylstra, friend of the show. I love him. Bring him back. Hopefully this year, Khalil Dorsey doesn't tear Zylstra's ACL in practice. So hopefully he just gets to play. He caught 3 touchdowns against Carolina.
Well, so, I don't think
it's spectacular, but I like the Germ.
I don't think we are bringing Khalil Dorsey back. I think he was one of the dudes that we didn't tender the rights to, or however that works. But he is going to be a free agent, so we'll be interested to see. But Julius, any thoughts on any of these guys we recently brought back?
I love the Germ re-signing because he's just like Dan Campbell said, he's the best at his position in football. You want to keep those kind of guys around. He's a culture guy. He's been there from the beginning. He's one of the few guys that was with the last regime that not only survived to this regime, but thrived with this new regime instead of just falling to the lay low like Tracy Walker and a couple other guys that just fell off to the side, the Okwaras. But I love the Germ re-signing. And I really don't have a problem with the Badgley. It seems like we don't care about kicker. Maybe we draft one. I can see a 5th or 6th round steal, Brad Holmes kicker delight. Ooh. But other than that, I have no issue. I mean, the Lions, I can almost predict that, almost predict what they're going to do. I didn't see the Emmanuel Mosley re-signing coming just because he didn't play at all. But it's a cheap, low risk, high reward. I mean, pretty much again, just like it was last year. So I don't mind it. I'm pretty satisfied so far.
Agreed. All right, I got a little question for you guys. We're gonna play a little keep 2, cut 1. We got a Lions. Plenty of guys still left out on Lions free agency, and between Josh Reynolds, Jonah Jackson, and Graham Glasgow. So you got 2 offensive linemen and a wide receiver. Keep 2. So you're pretty much keeping 1 offensive lineman and maybe wide receiver, or 2 offensive linemen, but keep 2. Nick, we'll start with you first. Which guy you letting go?
These are good because these are all 5 guys I really want to bring back. And that includes Josh Reynolds. Not a lot of people want Josh back because of the San Fran game, but I think he's vital for Jared Goff. Jared Goff loves his connections, and he's got one with Josh Reynolds. And again, hungry dogs run faster, and Josh going to be hungry after that San Fran. He's out to prove himself, in my opinion. So in that scenario, oh man, I want to say both offensive line. I really do, because that's more important to me. That's more important, but I can't. I'm gonna say Reynolds and Jackson. Even though Jackson didn't have the best year last year. In fact, you could even argue that Glasgow played better than him. Those are the 2 guys I want to re-sign, money pending. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with Josh Reynolds and Jonah Jackson before I overthink it.
I like it. Julius?
This is a hard question, Adam. I'm going to go with both offensive linemen.
It's not bad.
Like, I am so bought and sold into this offensive line being everything to our team that I want to keep it as much intact as possible. And if you give me the option to re-sign both of them, I'll take it, even if it's come at the expense of losing a beloved player like Josh Reynolds. However, I find it more likely that we only re-sign one. So,
Okay. Interesting.
See, for me, ironically, I'm going Josh Reynolds and Graham Glasgow. So we literally did all 3.
That's great.
Different scenarios. So
Works like that.
That's why this show is number 1 in Lions fans' hearts, dude, because we got different opinions everywhere,
I was going to throw in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson there, but obviously I feel like he weighs a little more than the other guys. And all 3 of those dudes feel very, on similar platforms of just skill and what they bring to the team. But outside of them, I'll give you guys one more, couple lower class, 3 lower class guys, cut 2, keep 1. Let's go Jerry Jacobs, Kindell Vildor, and Romeo Okwara. So 3 guys that might not be on our team next year, but if you could keep 2 of them, who would it be?
I don't want to keep. I'll keep Kindell Vildor, and that's it. To answer your question, I don't want Jerry Jacobs back on the team. Dude blocked us. I don't like him anymore. He got beat out for a starting spot by a dude that was on his couch and on 4 different teams. Also, a friend of the show, Kindell Vildor. He's on my 5 that I want to bring back. I think he's a very good depth piece. I do not want him back to start, but I absolutely would love him back on our team. And if he earns starting position, fucking A, that's awesome. That's great. I don't need him to be cornerback too. But again, he's going to be hungry to go out and prove himself after the Ayuk mishap. But he is very good. We saw that he was very good. And then Romeo Okwara can, I don't know. I don't even know.
Join his brothers,
NFL, dude. So, right on.
Julius, any of those guys you'd like to keep?
I mean, I'm down with the only Vildor train as well. But if I had to pick another, it would be Romeo Okwara, because Jerry Jacobs blocked us.
Look, we hold grudges out here, all right? You block us, we'll block you.
Don't mess with the HB, bruh.
Ever. No, exactly.
All right, let's move on to some better free agents, because there's some solid ones out there. So, Nick, you want to fire us up first, and we'll just kind of go with the flow and see whichever, position we start talking about. I got some names of some other guys that I'll bring up, but Nick, give me a free agent that you'd like to see the Lions bring in.
Okay, before I get to that, we already named off 4 of the 5 guys that I had written down that I want the Lions to re-sign. That is Josh Reynolds, Jonah Jackson, Graham Glasgow, and Kendall Vildor. I also want the Lions, if we can get him on cheap deal because of how electric he was in like the 8 games he played with us, James Houston. I want us to re-sign him. I don't think there's any reason we let him go just because he was injured all year last year. We know what he can be when he's on the field. So I do want James Houston back. If you notice, of those 5 guys, CJ GJ is not on that list. I don't care that much about bringing him back. I do like the tenacity and the presence he brings off the field, honestly, like when he interviews and how just blunt he is. I really, really do enjoy that. And he's talented on the field. I mean, he got a pick against Baker and whatnot, but ultimately – he's not that important to me. Hopefully he resigns, and then we can all look back on this next year and be like, Nick, you're an idiot. He was amazing. I can't believe you didn't care about bringing him back. But that's just how I feel. One guy I want to bring up that I think we should go after is a cornerback. So my guys, the only free agents I even really care about and looked at are cornerbacks and edge rushers, because I truly think we draft interior offensive linemen early and often, along with interior defensive linemen. I think a lot of people are going to be shocked that we don't go after a cornerback or edge with our very first pick, or even maybe our second, or even maybe our third pick. Honestly, it could go like a wide receiver, an inside offensive lineman, and an interior defensive lineman. That being said, I think that's because Brad Holmes is going to address the edge and the cornerback through free agency and not the draft. So with that being said, I like a guy that we already have his brother on the team. Stephen Gilmore, already a Detroit Lion, bring on his brother who had a, I don't know if you'd say comeback, but just really resurgence of his career in Dallas last year. Stephon Gilmore really came to play. Showed us that there's still a little bit left in the tank. I'm not trying to get like a Patrick Peterson when he went to like Pittsburgh or like this old veteran guy who's not really going to be able to run with them. But if we get him and then we do go after a cornerback early, like, and Brad Holmes just disobeys everything I said, it's a great veteran presence, in my opinion. We got Sutton on the side, who was locked down for the first 8 weeks and really struggled in the last 8 weeks. But I think there was some kind of injury that hammied him, that like kind of held him down a little bit. I hope so. Like, I hope he didn't just fall off a cliff like he did. So give me another veteran in Stephon Gilmore. Maybe it's just my like 2015 self talking, but the dude still can play. We saw that last year, and I would love to bring him in. So give me Stephon Gilmore as my number 1 free agent that I want to go after. That's respectably like within reason.
Yeah, I agree. He would pair up with his brother, who surprisingly didn't really get much of a chance this year.
He's young, undrafted. It's all right.
But yes, and that as well. And I think he could be a nice mentor. We have a lot of young guys on our team. Although it would be his 4th team in 4 years, which is kind of strange. But honestly, he put up some solid numbers last year. He had a forced fumble, 2 interceptions, and 13 pass deflections, which was tied for 16th in the NFL. So if he could even be, a top 20 quarterback on our defense, that would be very nice to have. So even just 1 year, that veteran presence, that leadership mentality. I know we have Goff, and honestly, I feel like Amon-Ra is becoming a solid leader. But on the defense, there's not a whole lot of vets. I guess it was kind of Chauncey, but he got injured. And Alex, so now we're kind of open. But Julius, I'm going to give you a couple of other names to think about for DBs. So you could say, we want to bring back CJ Gardner-Johnson. That's our dude. We don't need another DB. So feel free to say him. Kendall Fuller, another guy out there. Christian Fulton, another decent dude. And then Chidobe Awuzie, a guy that's bounced around and been on a couple teams, but been solid. And also, I think a Michigan dude.
Yeah. Speaking of Michigan dude, I got a name for y'all, right? And he kind of my number 1 on my wish list. I honestly think that he might come to Detroit. Josh Uche, edge from New England, former Michigan standout, played with Aiden Hutchinson. He had 11 sacks in 2023, but he only managed 3 last year. So it's got some injury history. I can see he's looking at like a 1-year prove-it deal. I definitely see that as like an option to help boost our defensive line from a Brad Holmes point of view, because I'm telling you, I do not see Brad Holmes making like a big splash offer to a veteran defender to help our defense. I just don't see it. Not even a Stephon Gilmore, even though I do like that because of his connection to Stephen Gilmore. I could see that, but I don't think Stephon Gilmore is going to command that much money either. But Josh Uche, I think he is a prime target for a guy like Brad Holmes that's trying to like sporadically add to this defense, who wants to primarily build through the draft. Familiarity with Hutchinson, they can, bookend each other. I mean, it's just a guy that I want to throw out there.
Yeah, I love that name. Uche is a solid dude. Would love to have him. A couple other, edge rushers that I wouldn't be opposed to. Jonathan Grenard. He kind of had a solid breakout year with the Texans last year. He was on opposite side of Will Anderson. So if you put him on opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson, he's going to produce more. Had 9.5 sacks over there with the Texans. You got also some solid dudes like Leonard Williams. And then, of course, your cream of the crop. Nick, I'm going to ask you this. Would you like to see the Lions make not a big splash and, L'Jarius Sneed, the defensive backs, but go after Danielle Hunter, a phenomenal pass rusher that we could just pluck from the Vikings, an individual rival, guy who had 16.5 sacks, and put him on opposite sides of Aiden Hutchinson. But it would cost a lot. He's still 29 years old. What are your thoughts on that?
So we have a lot of money we're like tied up on our team. So if we get him, it's a 1-year deal. I want a 1-year deal. We'll pay him 15 mil, 18 mil for 1 year. A lot of money, sure, but it's a prove-it deal. Come win a Super Bowl with the Lions and then go do your own thing, get your money and ride off into the sunset. Sure, that's fine. That is where I'd want him. Yeah, I mean, he's like the most talked about guy in the Detroit fan base right now of who we want to bring in my opinion. But it's tough. Like, I just don't want to spend our money that we should be spending on the guys upcoming on Danielle Hunter over the next 4 years. That's not worth it to me. It just isn't. I think we can get guys in the draft and lower end of free agency to come in and produce what we would expect Danielle Hunter to be. However, that being said, if we go out and sign him, I'll fucking love it. And we should probably throw a parade because it's an awesome signing and way to go, Brad Holmes. If we're talking edge rushers, a guy I like is AJ Epinesa. Very good edge rusher. A little bit under the radar, in my opinion, but was a first-round pick, maybe a second-round pick. Really talented and would just make a lot of sense, a lot of grit under him. So it makes sense to me that he becomes a Lion. Another really fun edge rusher who I don't really even want, but how crazy and funny would it be if Brad Holmes went out and signed Chase Young and everyone who was like, trade a second-round pick for him last year. He could help us win a Super Bowl. He just gets him for nothing, doesn't lose anything to acquire him, but some cap this year. It'd be such a like ball in face to everyone who just cried and said we'd never win a game. And there's no way we ever win the playoffs. First round, man, I could bring up tweet upon tweet upon tweet upon tweet of people saying, we're never going to win even a playoff game with this defense. We didn't even go get Chase Young. We didn't get Montez Sweat. We were terrible. There's no way we haven't. Dude, people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It would be such a funny instance if Brad Holmes went out and got Chase Young on a 1-year deal and was like, yeah, I didn't need to give up a third rounder like San Fran did. Congratulations, San Fran. You did beat us, but you couldn't win the Super Bowl. Now we get Chase Young. We'll go win the Super Bowl. But again, I don't think Chase Young is a Detroit Lion. I don't think he's a Dan Campbell type of guy. There's no way we actually do that. But I just think it'd be really funny, and I could throw it in a lot of people's faces, which I love to do. So that would be a fun one.
Julius, any thoughts on Danielle Hunter?
I like I said, I just don't see big money veteran. I agree with Nick. I feel like it's more built through the draft and low end free agency. That's just like our MO. And Daniel Hunter doesn't fit that MO unless he's willing to take a 1-year CJGJ, come win the Super Bowl, put on a ski mask deal. Right. Other than that, I don't want no 4-year, $75 million. What was the player we got from New England in the Patricia era?
Jamie Collins. Trey Flowers, there's a couple.
Trey Flowers. That's the exact type of deal I don't want, just giving these guys like 4-year, $80 million deals. Even Chase Young, I think his agent has been telling teams he's looking at like 4 years, $100 million. Like, I don't even know if I want to give Chase Young that. And no, I don't think he has the grit. I mean, he came from Columbus. We all know how that go down there. So, you know what I'm saying? You have to come up north. You got to be gritty, baby. You got to be gritty. I don't know if Chase Young got it. However, I just want to throw a couple more names out there just for the sake of it. I like this guy named Kevin Zeitler. He might be like a future Hall of Famer. He's on the market from Baltimore. 1 year, $4 million, $5 million. Plug him in at right guard. If we can't get Glasgow or Jonah Jackson back, plug him in at left guard. Go win a Super Bowl, baby. Another, I don't know if we're trying to add to the running back room at all, but does DeAndre Swift want to come back to the Lions?
That would be fun.
And like just be like a little gadget third running back, because evidently, you know, he's on the market too. And we don't know, you know, with running backs, how they just get kind of pinballed around. DeAndre Swift, you know, we all know he got his injury history, but, you know, I throw him 2 screens a game. I don't know if that'd take from the other miles on the team, but it's just a fun little thought to think about. It's like a return Lion.
Convert Jahmyr Gibbs into a like hybrid, first time ever seeing a wide receiver running back, not this Debo crap, not this CMC crap, like a true guy that lines up at wide receiver for multiple snaps and can take, you know, runs up the middle, pitches or whatever. Throw in Swift. Nick, I see you freaking out over there, but let me live out my fantasy on that.
Yeah. Hey, just I'm not serious about Swift, or am I? I don't know. I don't think so.
Hey, it could be fun, you know. I don't know. No, but
I'm okay with Swift. I'm not okay with what Adam's about to say. But
one guy who I wouldn't be opposed to bringing back, a former Lion that I bet they kind of wish they still were a Lion. That's Mr. DJ Chark. If we don't bring back Josh Reynolds, and, you know, we kind of are waiting till the last minute because free agency comes before the draft, and, you know, if, you know, we don't get anything done with Josh Reynolds, and it's kind of like a Jamal Williams scenario where he's like, well, I'm going to go try to get more money elsewhere, and then it doesn't work out, and he signs for blah, blah, blah. But DJ Chark, if it came down to, I would not be opposed to bringing him back. Any thoughts on this? Or is he a kind of guy that's like, nah, he's a thing in the past?
I just think that as a show, we're addicted to this thought of former Lions joining back into the pride. So we keep ever since Germ is like the leader of the pack. And
now I blame Graham Glasgow.
Glasgow came back. Yep, most def. So I could definitely see it, man. We could just throw some names out there. Shit, like
Quandre Diggs. Yeah, for sure. Another guy we should talk about, Central Michigan, Chippewa, Fire Up Chips, won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Sean Murphy-Bunting, very, very, very talented cornerback, left Tampa Bay, went to Tennessee, I think. I can't remember exactly, but he's a free agent this year. I would not mind bringing him in. He's got that northern grit that Julius was speaking about, so I wouldn't mind bringing him in here as well. No DeAndre Swift. I do not need him back. Jahmyr Gibbs better be our running back 1 next year, not David Montgomery. Like, it's Gibbs is the real fucking deal. He is the best running back in the NFL after CMC. Argue with me. Who is close to number 2?
Can't argue.
Yeah. And I do think when CMC, we are going to see CMC's going to, I mean, believe it or not, he's still 27 years old, which is crazy. I feel like he's like 29 on the back end of his career, like a Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook type dude. No. He's still 27. Still going to have at least 2-3 more years before he gets to that 30 mark. But when he gets 29, 30, we're going to see a passing of the torch when Jahmyr Gibbs is in his peak prime, going for 2,000 all-purpose yards, and it's going to be like, oh, the Lions are going to be playing the 49ers in, you know, some meaningful game. If it's, you know, Monday Night Football or if it's a playoff game or whatever, but you're going to hear the announcers just, you know, talk and go gaga over passing in the torch. This is going to Christian McCaffrey. Are we seeing a new Christian McCaffrey? Is he the new? And it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. And I don't really doubt that. So yeah, I kind of agree with you, Nick. Gibbs, feed him more, honestly. If we want to give Monty a less role, I wouldn't be opposed to that. If we want to keep him at that 50-50 split, works for me. But Jahmyr Gibbs, he's going to be a star.
Yes, he will. Speaking of running backs, I do want to pivot. We can get back to free agency.
Well, there are a couple big names out there. I mean, Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs.
Running back. No. We're gonna pivot and we're gonna go to the combine real quick, where your boy, both your guys' boy, Mr. Blake Corum, showed the fuck out in the bench press and did the exact same as Joe Alt, who is like a projected top 5 pick overall, 315 pounds, where Blake Corum is. We need to get Blake Corum. And I don't care if we have to spend a 3rd round pick on it. And I don't care if he's our 3rd running back. And I don't care if people are like, that's the stupidest take ever, just like it was stupid to take Jahmyr Gibbs last year. Blake Corum is David Montgomery 2.0. Yes. That's just who he is. And injuries are going to happen in the NFL, okay, especially to the running back position. Get Blake Corum. Craig Reynolds, great running back 3. Sure, love him. Get Blake Corum. He is going to be a stud in the NFL behind a good offensive line. Sure, you plop him down in Los Angeles behind the Chargers offensive line, or if you like try to put him in Carolina, like it's a recipe for failure. But you give him the Detroit Lions offensive line, and you have a 3-headed monster of Montgomery, Gibbs, and Corum. And Corum doesn't even have to be a star this year. Kyron Williams was like practice squad bench dude for the Rams for 2 years from Notre Dame before he finally got his opportunity. And that is okay for Blake Corum. Honestly, even if it is a 3rd round pick, I don't care. He is that good, and he will be that good behind a good offensive line. He is fit for Detroit. He's just grit. He's fit. I know Jim Harbaugh is going to go out and draft him earlier than he's supposed to, but that's just because they're losing Eckler. They're not going to have Josh Kelly running their backfield. It will be Blake Corum, and I don't think he's going to be that great behind that Los Angeles Chargers offensive line. And so these words will be like, oh, Nick, you're an idiot. No, if he goes to the Detroit Lions, if fate happens to have it that way, he is going to be a stud, and that's the only running back we should really talk about bringing into Detroit, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Totally agree.
Wouldn't be opposed to him, especially as a Michigan fan, and honestly, Hutch would love it too. But yeah, my brain's already told me any Michigan player just don't get excited. The Chargers, I feel like, are just gonna take every Sanistril, Corum, just Roman Wilson. They're gonna be taking guys that I want, that they don't even need, but they're Michigan players. So Harbaugh's gonna be like, give me my boys. So
I feel like coaches normally don't do that, though. I mean, right? I don't know. I guess I feel like sometimes college coaches come in and decide not to draft their own guy.
There's not a lot of examples.
Harbaugh isn't the GM of the Chargers, is he?
No,
he's not.
So
he's got a lot of say in that draft.
Maybe he has say for 1 or 2 players. I'm not sure he can get the whole Michigan senior class on his team. But Corum behind our offensive line, bro, rookie MVP. I'm talking about give him 20 carries a game, bro. He might go for 2,000.
It's possible. No, I don't know how you would split it up with these 3.
Bro, he's had over 400 carries in his college career. He's already taken a brunt of hits, bro. Yeah. Blake Corum would not be a normal rookie, bro. He would it's like he'd just fit right in, especially on the Lions. But we have Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, we do.
And David Montgomery, who I feel like Blake Corum might be a better version of.
I think so.
Interesting. We'll visit back to this one too. Once all things get all said and done, we'll jump back to see where Corum's at. But before we get out of here, I got one more game for you guys to play. It's the old men game. And yes, as you know, there's always some old men in free agency. So if we could sign one of these guys to a veteran minimum, pretty much just essentially they want to play for Dan Campbell. They don't care about the money. They want to play for us, which honestly, times are changing. It could very well happen where we get maybe not a couple, but one elite player that just wants to play for this new culture, for Dan Campbell, for, the Lions. And that's something we haven't really seen for the Detroit Lions, I guess. We've seen, for some other sports teams in Detroit, but the Lions, it's not been popular. So we enter uncharted territories each year, it seems. And last year was none of us were really fully expected that. And there was all sorts of twisted turns and ups and downs. So I feel like we're going to start to see more different, like, whoa, this hasn't happened to us before. And it's one of them, I think, is going to be, a veteran player wanting to come play for Dan Campbell. And honestly, maybe that's not, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes' MO, and they don't want to bring in a guy like that. But I could definitely see it happening. So I don't any of these guys or any, I know you guys brought out Zietler or Stephon Gilmore. So if you really want to say them, feel free. But Levante David, linebacker, Shaq Barrett, good pass rusher, Leonard Floyd, solid edge rusher, OBJ, wide receiver, Bobby Wagner, a guy who we all wanted last year, Jadeveon Clowney, and that's it. So out of any of those guys, we'll start with you, Nick, or you can throw in Stephon Gilmore or Kevin Zietler too. They're also old guys as well. But any of them stand out that you'd love to bring out on a veteran minimum?
Yeah, I mean, a few of them I wouldn't mind bringing in. I don't think we need this position depth, but we need like a position start. But like Levante David would be great. Like he's still veteran, would do very well to continue to help Jack Campbell learn. Not OBJ. Honestly, I wouldn't mind any of them, but OBJ. Like OBJ is the only person I wouldn't.
I literally thought when I put OBJ down, I was like, Nick's going to hate this one.
Like that's the worst player ever if we got.
But he was old and
so mad. Yeah, I mean he fits the category. I get that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, any kind of edge, any of these guys as depth players to make sure they all know they're not going to be starting, but to be a good depth player, edge rusher, we need as many edge rushers as I think we can get that can bring some kind of juice. So any of them really work for me. My answer, I guess, would be Levante David, though.
I guess that would be my answer as well. However, almost everybody you mentioned is missing the grit factor, bro. They're missing the grit factor. I know what they're looking for. I know what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell want now. We all know. The only people that don't know is outside of the Lions' kingdom. It's like opposing fan bases and like the media. They're clueless still. But we know, bro. We know. But yeah, I would be cool with any of them. I would probably go with Levante David overall. Kind of took that from you, Nick. I also want Brandon Fisk from Florida State or Chop Robinson from Alabama. That wouldn't hurt either.
Oh, fuck Chop Robinson, dude. He's like the raw guy. He's got, dude. If you ever watch his film, he gets blown up.
You think he's a guy from Jacksonville last year? What's his name? Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, exactly. I think he is that raw. Who did we draft? What's his name? Ziggy Ansah. Like, could be good, but he's just really raw. I actually, in any mock draft, you can find all my mock drafts on Twitter. He, in the last like 3 or 4 of them, since the Senior Bowl, since I finally actually watched film on him, he has not made my first round. And I know he looked really impressive at the combine. But I don't put a lot of stock in it. Braden Fisk is the fucking man. Number 1 on my list of guys I want, along with Quinyon Mitchell, but he ain't going to fall to us, but he'd be a great cornerback for us to get. Nate Wiggins, I think one of the best gifts of all time was the gif where it's when he hurt himself during the 40, I think it was the 40, Nate Wiggins hurt himself, and someone posted it was the dude like creeping out behind a tree, just going like, yeah. And it was like Brad Holmes when he sees Nate Wiggins gets injured in the combine. Perfect gif. It would be great. Someone already shouted me out, but I'll call it out again because this is the dude to pay attention to. Could fall to the 2nd or 3rd round. This is where I don't think we're going to draft a cornerback in the 1st round. There's a lot of good players. Max Melton out of Rutgers. His brother, Bo Melton, plays for the Packers. Could be another brotherly interdivisional rivalry.
I've seen him on all the Packers mocks.
Yeah, because they want him, because they love him, because he's so good. Watch his film. He's one of the best cornerbacks ever. If you just look up YouTube highlights of Max Melton, the dude's a beast. Locked down Marvin Harrison Jr. I think Harrison Jr. caught 1 pass. It was a touchdown catch, but like that's it. He's very, 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 very good. I don't want a white cornerback. That's why I'm not taking Deshaun Cooper, dude. If you're not a unicorn, Deshaun, I'm sorry to tell you, dude. Like you're not.
Unicorns don't exist.
Dude, they don't exist. So I'm sorry, dude. Maybe he's a great coach. He'd probably be a great coach, but no,
Cooper
I don't want
DeJean too.
Last guy I had written down was Blake Corum because I really do think that he would be a talent he would be a great addition to our offense.
I love this. It's a great little teaser we got going on here. A lot of juice at the combine. We also got Xavier Worthy running that 4.21, which was ridiculous. Which
last thing I want on the Lions, honestly. What do you guys think? If we
no. Here's
my J-Mo. We don't need him.
I don't want him, but what it did was I think now he's going to bump someone back because we don't need him. So he's going to push back. You know, some team's going to trade up inside of 29 and take, Xavier Worthy at 22, 23, whatever.
We already got him. We already got J-Mo. We don't need him, especially as high as he wants to go. And back to Cooper DeJean real quick. You throw him at safety. There's a bunch of white safeties out there.
There are some white safeties, but we don't need a safety. Sure, I guess if CJ
True, that's true.
Maybe.
Well, we kind of need safeties.
I guess.
Little depth.
Yeah. First round depth safety.
But no corner for Cooper. No corner.
No corner for Cooper. Cooper.
I'll be curious to see what he does and how he ends up.
I hope he's fucking amazing.
I know,
I hope the Lions draft him and he's all pro.
The all-white team is looking real bad at secondary, so we need a good Cooper DeJean in there to really boost this race up, in my opinion. But
definitely. All right, boys and girls, shout out to everyone watching us.
I already told everyone who we're going to be drafted in the first round. It's going to be Brian Thomas Jr. and everyone hated it, but I'm not wrong. We're drafting.
We'll have to debate that next.
X wide receiver. You heard it here first. You saw it on my mock draft first. It won't happen. It's whether you like it or not. It's going to happen, in my opinion.
Brian Thomas Jr.
Unless you kid, yes, sir.
It is. It's interesting. It'd be fun, honestly. So, honestly, it's weird because any thought I have of any player, I'm just well, I don't care because if Brad Holmes says that dude's name, then he's a freaking superstar.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Which
we got a bunch of more names to get into. We could do our mocks. Our mocks are coming up.
Yeah,
we could do a live mock on air. I mean,
we got that coming up. We got free agency over the next couple of weeks, but then April hits real quick, and we got nothing but draft to talk about for 4 straight weeks. So yeah.
And if you guys want to see a couple of our early mocks, Nick's been pumping them out. So check us out at Honolulu Blues _. There's all sorts of good mocks and good apparel too on our pin tweet. You guys can check out. We got some new Red Wings apparel on there. Lion stuff, of course. But as always, if you guys are watching on YouTube, Spotify, Twitch now, or wherever, just give us a like, subscribe. It helps out the show, the program, and makes us, happy, as Nick would say. As always, boys and girls, go.